Hi, I'm Meka.
And I'm Nataraja.
And we are
Ascended Heart Navigators.
Hi!
Hi, again.
Yay! Welcome to another crazy podcast. Videoed, hanging out with Meka and Nataraja doing cool stuff. Today we're talking about, we're talking about how to connect to your guides.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, what does that mean?
I actually wanted to ask you because my experience is very, very different. And we can talk about how guides come through.
Yeah.
I wish that I had the experiences that you do, but it's not the same. So I can start off because the messages that come through are very, very different for me. And so when I get any kind of intuition or guides, it usually just comes from a knowing. And that doesn't tell me a lot, to be honest. And it's usually just like a knowing. Mostly it's for myself. Sometimes it comes through in like a knowing for other people. Mm. And this is something that has been really, really more interested in how to get in touch with our guides. So, hey, I'm using this as an excuse to learn from Meka.
Awesome.
And so some people will connect, have a knowing. Yeah. And there's some people will be very visual. Some people will be very audio. Yeah. Audio. Yeah. 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 You can hear it.
Exactly.
You can hear that shit.
Yeah.
And so auditory. That's right. So mine is not like that. So what you are able to tap into is way beyond what I get and how I get information. So I want to learn from you.
Okay. Well, I grew that muscle by studying different types of shamanism with Heidi, who was a Siberian shamanism, who grew up with her grandfather from a long line of shamans who studied black sky, white sky, Siberian shamanism. And that's because half of the year was in darkness and half of the year was in light. So they would work with the different ways of either working with filling you with light or working with your shadow self. And I thought that was really cool and interesting. But she also taught me the Peruvian style of mesa building, which is the medicine bag. Mm-hmm. So we would program these kuyas, these stones, and then we have that work in a bundle that we can share with others. Mm-hmm. So during that process, there was a lot of learning, and then I also
How long did you study with her?
The direct mesa building was 3 years.
Well, okay. Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, 3 years to build your mesa. Mm-hmm. It can be longer, and then some of the other ones will continue throughout your life. Pretty much continue throughout your life. And I've also studied for about a year with Michelle Orwick doing Theta healing, which is a very modern version of getting to that Theta brainwave, which is what the shamans did too, either through drumming or through meditation. So the Theta brainwave is really where the visions come in. Theta brainwave is kind of in that, it's the meditative brain state. So it's between sleep and awake, but you're just kind of meditative. So it kind of slows down your brain waves and you're open to receiving. Cool thing. It makes you stop thinking, but you're receiving and processing those messages in a different place in your brain, which is really cool. And there's more science about that everywhere on YouTube. But the personal experience of that would be, I do have lots of visuals. Okay. And some auditory and some knowings. So it's a combination of the three. Okay. And the way you see is like, sometimes I see actual sparkles and I can tell that something's there and it's pulling me, and sometimes I'll see movement or some actual physical things with my eyes. That's not where most of that lives. It's like behind your eyes. Okay. You're seeing it in your head, you're imagining it, but you can see it. We were talking about goosebumps earlier. I can tell energy is moving because goosebumps are running through my body. We call it like chills of knowing. And it's definitely one of the ways I know that I'm being activated. When I'm giving someone a shamanic session or a tarot reading or just connecting, I get those chills.
And that actually is different for other people, because when I know when messages are coming through in me, I feel it in two ways. Okay. One, I get ringing. There's like really high pitched ringing in my ear, and sometimes I feel like this like tightness in my throat. It's almost kind of like a pressure. I can feel like something coming in and I could feel this like pressure, and then I know that I'm being connected with.
Wow.
But yeah, I never get any visual or like auditory signals.
You can develop that skill.
Okay.
And there's actually training you can do. You can start developing your, visual.
Oh, Meka, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you do trainings?
I do. Like we can. Why not?
Meka is a trained shaman. So, and she's a trained energy worker. So,
that would be a cool idea. Let's talk about that.
Let's do.
Let's make something happen.
I want to take your classes.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, sounds like something might be coming next. Cool. I like that idea because I have witnessed people expand their ability to connect to their guides. Mm-hmm. And, I am a zodiac sign of Cancer. Mm-hmm. So I'm very sensitive. I'm very emotional. I sense a lot through my emotions and feelings. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm open in a lot of ways. And as an artist, as a singer and musician, I think a lot of what I bring through is kind of a channeling of like world emotion. Mm-hmm. I've always felt that as like I'm connecting to something often. I remember one time living in Japan, performing at one of my favorite venues called the Urban Guild in Kyoto. I was singing solo acoustic, and I could feel that I wasn't the one singing.
Oh, okay.
And so, but I had opened to it, and I had trained in playing guitar and singing, so I knew the songs, but it was no longer me doing it. And so I've experienced moments like that. It's kind of the same way with talking and like delivering a channeled message. I'm not a medium. I know people who are mediums and they're talking to the relatives. And I do talk to people's relatives. Okay. But it's not, I don't consider myself a medium because I get a lot of different visuals. I get different stories that are being told to me through their spirit guides. If I do like a shamanic journey, sometimes I go into, different levels. But there's like, an underworld type energy of ancestors, or like this middle world where I talk to plant and animal spirits, or like an upper world where I talk to ascended masters.
Okay, so let's take a moment and ask this, because we're going to try to make this brief, but I don't know. It might get a little bit long.
We like talking.
We could always like clip it down if we
want to. Fun!
Clip. So if we're making a quick distinguishment between like what is a guide, what is a ascended master, for those people who don't know, or like even angels when angels step in.
So I think for you would know an angel because you're feeling a lot of love, an unconditional love. Okay. And you're hearing you might even hear a very high frequency pitch. Okay. So angels are very high frequency. Okay. Ancestors, even though they're similar to angels, they're not quite as high of a frequency. Okay. So ancestors will still come in with a little bit of humanity. Okay. I think. I don't know exactly how that all works. I'm sure there's lots of conversations we could have about that. But
I think we should.
They tell you ask. Like literally you can be out loud or in your inner voice, be like, oh, who are you? Right. And you have to think the main difference is knowing the difference between the brain, trying to rationalize it and worry and fear and stuff. If you can just like go, okay, let me release and allow and get some clarity, and know that you're safe. Sometimes it's really good to.
That's a huge. Like that's a huge piece of like knowing, and I've talked to a lot of people, and when they do, especially if they're not used to it, right? They get this automatic feeling like they're weird, they have mental issues or whatever, and and it's hard to distinguish. Yeah. And like I said, I don't get a lot of stepping in, but when I did recently, yesterday, this is one of the reasons why we're going to talk. Oh, sad. But it was that moment of not freaking out about it. Yeah. And remaining calm. And when I felt something step in, usually I dismiss it. And two, or I'll freak out. If it's like really, really intense. It's intense. I'll freak out, and then it's just like, they're like, I can't work with you like this.
And they'll listen. If you're like, I can't handle this. Right. Like, they'll go away. Right. Like, you always are in control. Exactly. You can say, no, I don't want to receive a message. But when we're doing this work, we want to get to know our higher self messages, and our higher self is connected to divine wisdom and ascended masters. They even say in Kuan Yin is the Buddhist version of Mother Mary. So they're the same frequency. So that's that loving, motherly, unconditional love. So if I'm afraid, I call in that frequency, that energy. In Buddhism, the calling is Om Mani Padme Om, which is a direct connection to the divine. Ooh, that is a tongue twister. Direct connection to the divine through Om Mani Padme Om, which is the lotus mantra, directly connecting you to Kuan Yin. In that energy, they say you can walk through a league of 1,000 demons and not be touched. So nothing negative, no negative thoughts, nothing negative can affect you. Same if you are doing it more in the Western version, you could call Mother Mary, because that's also a protective, unconditional love spirit that's connecting you through love. Okay. So whatever culture you want to call it, it's the same frequency. Okay. Cool. So if I really am afraid, I call in that that love, and I fill the room with light, because only goodness can be So those backups, but I just trust it now because I've done it so much. Right. So I know that I'm automatically filling the room with light. I know that I'm automatically connected to the highest and greatest good. Right. Even if I'm talking to ancestors that have old grudges or something that come up of oh, I'm worried about this. There's still some worry in our ancestry line that still has some existence to it inside of us. I still fill that with light. Okay. So last night what happened is Natasha woke up later than normal. So
I'm staying with Meka while I'm here.
Yeah, closer to midnight. And we love spending time together, but we're always different schedules. And it was getting close to midnight, which is also changing of the day. And I just felt something, and I was like, "Oh, snap!" Right.
I had a dream. Right. I had a dream that something needed to be cleared, and I was trying to call out for Meka to help. And so I came out and I started smudging and clearing using sage. I was clearing the house and clearing whatever I felt. And so I just asked her to do some clearing and some checking. And in that moment is when it happened, when she was tapping in, she was checking to see what was there, what needed to be cleared. Then the magic happened.
So I was wondering why it was so spontaneous. It's because we were checking in. I was doing a blessing and clearing. I was open, and I went into Theta brainwave. So I opened myself more than I realized, because the visuals that I got were, an awakening of the ancient protectors of the earth, the ancient Egyptian and Aztec gods, this energy awakening, this gigantic, massive energy, stepping up into their grid, if that makes sense, and hold and expanding the energy of the earth. So it went from this energy, we'll call 3D, because that's kind of what we're operating under, and then it got this big. So the little light and frequency of the earth expanded through this awakening of these ancient protectors of the earth.
And in that moment when you said grid, and you can continue on, but when we'll talk, we could talk about this a little bit later as I'm becoming more and more aware of what the grid is. So you were tapping into, there was this grid that was expanding, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, there's a grid system. From what my learning of the past year is, there is a grid system around the earth, and I can talk about that later, but you were tapping into something really, really awesome about the grid around the earth.
So what I saw was then 4 directional portals, and I felt one to the west, and these protectors of the earth, and these portals, but I felt the galactic community coming in to support us. But they could only enter our energy field by walking through these portals, and these portals would only allow people, or beings, that were true of heart and with good intention. So it was a protection. We had this shield that was activated. It was already there, but it was close to the earth, and it got expanded. So then I felt this energy coming in. to help us with the ascension process. And I felt that was pretty cool visual too.
And I like the distinguishment between aliens, which is like, oh, the aliens. So no, there are intergalactic higher level beings who are assisting humanity right now.
Which they say we could be those beings from other planets too.
And we talked about that in the 3 Ways of Volunteers, that there are people here from other planets as volunteers to help with the ascension of humanity.
And science, no energy can be created or destroyed, so we're infinite beings and we're always turning into something else, and it can be all from a whole bunch of different planets and existences, and that's why you talk about like Buddhist reincarnation. We're always changing. So yeah, we're this really cool version of ourselves in this lifetime. Nataraja's so dope. Meka's awesome. But we change. And so they're saying that, we could be part of this galactic family. And the Native Americans, though they're very private, the North American Native Indians is what I'm hearing the community leaders still refer to themselves as, so I'm honoring their vocabulary choice, are saying that we have a star family. And then a lot of the different archaeologists are saying that there's also a connection to the stars from ancient past. You could dive into that deeper. Really here, what we're diving into is our own personal experience and how we're receiving the messages. Right. So I did feel that we do kind of travel in little soul clusters and have different objectives play out. And I think that Nataraja and I were brought together. I mean, we met like 8 years ago and we felt like a bond and connection. And then some of the visuals coming last night through that we may have even been sisters in a previous lifetime.
Correct.
So that felt also reassuring. And I always feel it like there's so much truth to what we know. And even our little intuitions or little sillinesses, even like when you feel connected with someone, you're like, oh my gosh, we could have been sisters in a past lifetime. When you get those impulses,
it just might
be like there's a lot to it. So like really honor that. And I'll say I think the number one lesson, because this is not like a deep lesson, but is the openness and feeling safe, which
and
is
the message
huge.
And the message was that there was an expansion, there was an opening,
and that it's not going to go away.
Right.
That we're in 5D already.
Right.
Everyone's going to have their own transition into what that experience is.
So Meka, what does that mean? If you're explaining to someone that we're in 5D already, and the message that you were getting through this channeling session that happens spontaneously last night, what was the understanding that you got from that?
The understanding was that there was almost like this light that was on, this expansion, so things weren't as dense or heavy. So there was a clear difference distinguishing between the energy of 3D and the energy of 5D, and they're like right next to each other. So you can still observe 3D from 5D, and almost vice versa, but people have to be willing to open their eyes to 5D. It's like a light grid, and it's like everything's expanded. And I really feel that there's a sense of knowing of well-being. There's peace. There's love. And there's also like quicker manifestation.
Okay.
There's like you allow more. There's more energy in things, so you can get more accomplished in a faster amount of time.
Right.
There's more.
It's a choosing.
Right. It's like more opportunity to choose your clarity.
Right.
There's not as much density to work through. Okay. It's not as heavy. And shout out to all humans, for being a human at the past few thousand years or so, because it's been like the hardest level of existence is what I always hear them talking about, is like, this is the hardest level. Good job for going through it. You're doing good. You feeling sad once in a while? That's okay. This stuff is dense, yo.
Right, it is.
Move through it. Yeah. Ooh, being a human. Woo. Exhausting. But in 5D, you have this choice now to sit in this well-being. And you'll notice your immune system being stronger. You'll notice the clarity of your mind being more clear. You'll notice things happening quicker.
And trusting that your immune system, that's trusting that your body is amazing and infinite and divine. Trusting that your immune system is strong. But believing that you're sick all the time or you could die, or like all these different belief systems, it's probably gonna happen.
It affects your body. Whatever you're thinking about does affect your body. So it's not like they'll instantly happen either. If you have a negative thought, just talk to it. Be like, oh, I can replace you with one positive thought and it's like 1,000 times stronger. So let me just look at why I'm feeling fear, where it's coming from, and how it got programmed in me, and where my belief system lies, and clear it. And then you can make the choice of how you want to feel. And, kind of cool enough, in this reality, in Earth anyway, but it's enhanced, is that it's just going to be, things are just going to be better. And I know that's a strange thing to say, but a lot of old constructs are breaking down, and it's okay. And everything's okay. And it's okay. Like trusting that and knowing that even when you have a sad feeling, be like, that's okay. Cool. Good job with that.
And the really amazing thing is like that was the message of clarity through the ancestors and ancestors that we possibly have shared in another lifetime, and other beings that stepped in to give you these messages, was that it is going to be okay. And we are already living in a different we're already tapping into a higher level of being. We just have to know that we are and choose that higher level of being, and just walk in that, rather than and I think that what you said is that it's so close. These worlds are so close that we might observe like from and this was such a beautiful message and reaffirmation for me, is that even though we see these things happening in the world, because the new earth and the old earth, the 5D and the 3D, it's so close that we'll observe these things, but it doesn't mean that it's happening to us. And that was a freaking huge message, and I'm just so glad that you got that message, because it helped me understand this level, because I've been thinking, I was like, okay, well, if we're deeply, I know that we're going through an ascension process. I know that I get to choose my timeline. I know I get to choose my reality, but it's been hard for me because I see things happening, and getting this channeled message that although we see things happening, doesn't mean it's happening to us.
Because they're right there. It's like there's almost like a hologram system of like, you can see it from this perspective, or you can see it from that perspective, but knowing that you can always choose the higher perspective. So if something is coming at you that's fearful, negative, scary, you can be like, well, that's not part of my reality. And you can actually like declare it and choose it. Just as like you can anything, like you really are the creator of this life, and it'll be more evident than ever that the way you choose to experience things will have a direct effect on your life. And that goes for everyone. And like deeply, we are all connected. So the more of us that turn the light on, the more of us that trust and like just put some love and gratitude in the world, the more that ripples out. I'm going to repeat as many lessons as possible, but when you have a feeling of love and gratitude, it's a certain frequency. And, I heard last week, I'll have to get the reference, but it was on Mind Valley Masterclass. And it's like you send a ripple out into the community. So it affects 750,000 other people when you're holding a space of love and gratitude. So imagine, just like, you don't have to be like that all the time. You're not going to be perfect. We're not perfect. But going, having a moment where you check in with how you feel. Oh, I have a moment right now to check in of whether to feel sad or whether to feel gratitude. Okay, sometimes I'm going to choose sad because I got some things to work through. But then I'm going to go to gratitude. And then I'm going to send that love and light out. And we do affect each other. And I think we're going to get better and better at this, like a muscle. And no matter how long or how quickly it takes, both are okay. Even if like right now you're like, oh my gosh, I'm awake, I feel great, I'm going to stay in love and gratitude as much as possible, and I believe in good things happening. Awesome. If you're just there like 10% of the time, and then 90% you're like figuring out all the mess, that's good too. I just keep on receiving the messages like, it's okay.
It's going to be okay.
All of it's okay. It's going to be okay. It's here now. Access it.
Right.
Like now. It's going to get stronger,
Right.
and I know the solstice is going to like blast us.
Yeah.
To
and so
awakening.
we're going to be talking, as we move closer and closer to
December 21st.
December 21st, the solstice. There's a lot of things that we're looking at and we're going to be talking about is there's solar flares, planetary alignments. We're going to be moving into another like opening, a deeper opening. And there was a huge opening that happened even on 11/11 of this year. Yeah. And it's intensifying.
The 8/8 gate, like there's been these alignments like
Right.
leading up to this point.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching it.
Right.
All these portals open like in my inner eye, which we all have. So if you wanted to like try to understand how you felt about it, or like see how your angels come to you, like ask and see what comes.
Right.
You know?
And
some of this will get in the way, but some of it won't.
a lot of the times
A lot
it
of this will
does.
get in the way. And I want you to use your brain, but this can overthink things and make you worry way too
Go
much.
here.
This is a higher brain.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This is also a brain.
Yeah.
They say that you have three brains. This one, your heart, and your gut is your other brain. Actually, I heard in Asia, this is the number one brain. They work on your gut first.
Oh, wow, okay.
Isn't that funny?
That's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
That's really cool.
You ever trust your gut
that's the
instinct?
knowing. You know, that's your knowing brain. This is like connecting to the deepest like ancestral gut. Feels good. Feels bad. That's an easier way to follow. So we are all going to be talking about ascension.
Yep.
Again, we're going to really be talking about the ascension process. And I want Meka to talk more about the guides, the angels, the ancestors, which is a beautiful, and a lot of people are getting messages from our guides and our intergalactic federation, which are our helpers. These are not aliens. This is not like ETs.
Same things with us, yeah.
These are higher level beings that are come here. And like what you said, you're picking up is that they can't come through unless they are, because of the grid, they can't come through unless they are a higher level being coming in for love and good.
Yeah.
So that is an amazing message to receive. So we're excited.
Oh, if you do hear some reports of like some galactic activity, because you know whatever NASA's like showing, or little things are popping up, because they are.
Yeah, it's becoming more frequent.
And that's
right.
one level of it. And I think in 5D we'll actually be able to see more levels
right.
of that. I know that it's actually happening in a different like dimensional plane, which is connected to us, but they are a higher level, so they don't need a physical rocket ship in the same way that we would.
Right.
So there's things happening on a level that we don't see with our physical eye necessarily, but you can tap into with your heart and your inner eye for sure. Cool.
Yeah, so we'll be learning more. Meka, I'm convincing her. And in this moment, I think that I'm convincing her that giving classes on connecting to your guides and learning how to like hone in those muscles of visual and auditory messages. I think that would be amazing.
That's a really cool idea. We can do little workshops and do different exercises. Yeah, I think that's great.
I think I'm going to help you put that together.
Oh, she's so good.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We love you. Happy ascending and journeying with you.
Awesome. We just keep traveling.
Yep.
Just keep loving yourself and loving others and coming up with an excuse to be ascended and in your greatest and highest timeline.
All right. Until next time.
Bye. Bye.